This program proudly brought to you by RACQ Insurance. Wouldn't be without them.
This week, the PGA Tour of Australasia travels 2 hours south of Perth to the coastal city of Bunbury, where Michael Long will defend the Western Australian PGA Championship he won 12 months ago. The Bunbury Golf Club plays host to the Lawrence Scrap Metals WA PGA Championship, where players the calibre of former PGA tournament winner and current Victorian PGA champion Andre Stoltz, Queenslander Andrew Bonham, Victorian Scott Laycock, last week's WA Open winner Michael Curtin and defending champion Long are all expected to feature. At stake is not only the prestigious and time-honoured title, but the opportunity for the winner to tee it up at the JB Weir Masters at Kingston Heath and advance his cause on the PGA Tour of Australasia. Welcome to the 2009 Lawrence Scrap Metals Western Australian PGA Championship. Day one, and it was the 2009 Victorian Open champion Ashley Hall who stole the limelight with an opening round of 65, the feature of which was 2 eagles. Hall led by 2 from Victorian Peter Wilson and local golfer Steve Collins. Round 2 would see the very much in-form Michael Curtin, fresh from his victory at the WA Open, take the lead with a second round 68, and at 9 under he led by 1 over Queenslander Sean Harmer. New Zealander Hamish Robertson, Collins and Wilson all 2 shots further back. To round 3, and on a day when it appeared no one wanted to take control, those in or near the lead would falter. None more so than Curtin. Curtin dropped 6 shots in his opening 6 holes, finishing with a round of 79, and at 2 under he'd fallen 6 shots from the lead. Perth club professional Damien Chatterley and talented but struggling New Zealander Hamish Robertson would be at 8 under and share the lead when the round was completed.
I just struggled with my short game last week and put a lot of time into it, and I'm surprised how early it's come up trump, but it's good.
2 shots behind Robertson and Chatterley are WA's Steve Collins and Victorian Scott Laycock. With another shot back, Jason Norris, Leighton Lyle and Ben Wharton, whose round of 67 was the best of the day. And so to the leaderboard after the 3rd round, and Damien Chatterley and Hamish Robertson sit atop at 8 under. Further back, Scott Laycock and Steve Collins, and then Ben Wharton, and onto the second page, Leighton Lyle, Andre Stoltz, still not too far away, Andrew Bonham, Peter Wilson, all still in contention, as is David Diaz. Well, joining me once again in the experts' chair is the one and only Bruce Young as we look over Bunbury Golf Club, and looks magnificent again. Bruce, welcome.
Anthony, good afternoon to you. It certainly does look fantastic again, this golf course. Only had about 8 weeks to get ready for this tournament, but the Bunbury Golf Club have done a magnificent job. As we look at our first shot of the day, Michael Curtin, his 3rd to the par 5 second.
Yes, recovering or trying to recover from a horror 3rd round of 79. Of course, in terrific form recently at the WA Open.
Had tremendous trouble with his putter yesterday, that round of 79. Dropped a lot of shots early in his round and really lost confidence on his greens, but that's a nice way to start. Picked up a birdie at the second, maybe looking to get things back on track today.
Now here's David Diaz at the par 5 second.
It laid up with his second here, interestingly enough, and going with an 8-iron with his 3rd, but looks like there's more than one way to skin a cat. That set up a very good birdie opportunity to get things moving again after a bogey at the first.
Yes, nicely in for the experienced Diaz, the 41-year-old from Melbourne, and certainly can't count him out as the day continues. Capable of producing some very good numbers. Here's Leighton Lyle, his 3rd shot, also here on the 2nd.
Leighton, the Victorian, he's played on the Sunshine Tour in Queensland for much of this year. He's the brother of Jared Lyle. I'm sure he gets sick of being told that every time somebody speaks to him, but a good emerging young players.
But you thought you'd just say it again. So Diaz puts in another birdie. And after a little stutter to start the day, a couple of birdies for David Diaz.
After a double bogey at the opening hole, this for a birdie at the second. He gets it back to 4 under and stays in touch with the leaders.
Still on the second. This time we're looking at Steve Collins' putt for birdie, which he duly makes. Nice to have them that close. He's at 5 under.
Local golfer from Western Australia.
Now back to Leighton Lyle. He's another man who's had an up and down round already so far today. Started with a double bogey and now a couple of birdies in a row. So he's back at 5 under where he started the day, and we're seeing plenty of movement on the leaderboard already, Bruce.
Yeah, very blustery conditions with the sou'easter in at this stage. Scotty Laycock got caught out by that wind at the first, found the front bunker. But this looks like a delightful setup to save par, and that'll get him underway quite smoothly. There's been a few accidents on that first hole already today, but it looks like he's going to make par.
Now David Diaz, who started the day in quite promising form. And you can see the blustery conditions, but not a problem for David Diaz.
Yeah, Scott Laycock after that very good par save at the first. He's found a bit of trouble with his second here at the par 5 second, but he's been able to save par again. Well, that's two very confidence-building par saves for Scotty at the first and the second. He was dead behind the tree with the second, chipped out sideways. As we now go to Andre Stolz at the par 4 fifth, his second at 4 under. Looking to get something going, and he's certainly done it there. That should be a birdie for Andre, and that'll move him to 5 and within a couple of the lead.
Now the overnight leader, Hamish Robertson.
Found the trees with his tee shot here at the par 4 fourth. A low runner, unable to turn it enough with his second, but he's been able to set up that par save with a lovely little delicate pitch across the green.
Now our first look at Andrew Bonham, who was -4 coming into the day with rounds of 70, 72 and 70. Hasn't quite been able to get anything going yet, but still in the mix.
Yeah, just completed a very difficult year for him on the nationwide tour. Came home to Australia a couple of months ago, and he's actually started to play quite well in recent weeks. Pro-Ams, won a couple of Pro-Ams in the Queensland area.
Now local boy Jason Shine.
This at the par 5 7th. Across the green from the right-hand rough. Will it? Will it? Yes, it will. Few friends and family in the gallery there enjoying the moment with Jason. He moves to 3 under.
And going very nicely. Scott Laycock has dropped 1 shot for the day so far, but a chance to get it back. And a terrific effort, just lips out. He'll go on to make his par there, but here's Jason Norris at the 6th.
Former winner of this event, won it 2 years ago, just a little bit up the coast at the Cut Golf Course. Setting up a nice birdie opportunity there at the par 4 6th.
Now we catch up again with David Diaz, who has got a good round going. This for birdie at the 9th, and he's picked up 3 shots for the day now, and turns at 6 under.
Double bogey late in his round yesterday. Appeared at that stage to have destroyed any chances he might have had of winning the tournament, but here he is back very much in the mix. As we go to Scotty Laycock at the 6th hole, this putt for birdie.
And this time he nails it after coming so close on the last. So Laycock at 6 under.
It is becoming, Anthony, a very bunched leaderboard at the moment.
Andre Stelz would like to join those at -5, and he gets his way.
Now back playing professional golf full-time after a few years away from the game. A winner on the PGA Tour in Las Vegas a few years ago. A winner of the Victorian PGA earlier in the season.
Hamish Robertson would love to get this birdie, and he does. bogeys at 3 and 5, and now he's picked up a birdie at 7.
This is Damien Chatterley from the Seaview Golf Club here in Perth. Club professional, but doing very well. The joint third round leader. Bit of a struggle to start with, but that's got him back to 7 under and within 1 of where he started.
And now the South Australian Jason Norris, who's been very consistent so far. Was 5 under at the start of the day. Has had 2 bogeys, 1 birdie, and that should be another one. Take it back to where he started at 5 under.
Now, Hamish Robertson. This putt has a couple of influences. A little bit of right to left from the backside of the green and a little bit of left to right from the shoulder. Mainly left to right, and he rolls it in. That'll take him to 8 under where he started the day. And he's now opened up a 2-shot lead as he makes the turn.
Yes, that is second birdie to go with 2 bogeys. He leads by that 2-shot margin over David Diaz, Scott Laycock and Damien Chatterley, who is the other overnight leader. What a struggle it is on the final day of the Lawrence Scrap Metals Western Australian PGA Championship. Welcome back. The magnificent Collie River flowing through the Bunbury Golf Club at the Lawrence Scrap Metals WA PGA Championship. And this club actually situated in the Shire of Harvey, which have been wonderful supporters of the tournament. It's a great part of the world, plenty of spectacular wildlife, and a great place to come and visit as we get into action here in the final round, and we start at the 11th with Andre Stelz.
Looks like he's found a bit of trouble from the tee here, left himself a long way back with a second. This is third, but all the same, could well be the same result. Good birdie chance there for the New South Welshman.
And now Hamish Robertson leads by 2 shots.
Interesting here, Anthony, at the Bunbury Golf Club. Par 3s to start both 9s. This is the 10th, downhill. Big drop from the tee. 131 metres today, downhill and down breeze, a little bit left to right perhaps. Players today just wedges and even gap wedges for some of the field.
Gauging the wind critical, I guess.
Absolutely, especially with so much elevation from this tee here and the breeze directly behind. The ball sometimes gets knocked down by the breeze, so getting the distance control just right is a key part of success here at the par 3 10th. And Scotty coming up a bit short there.
It's 2 shots behind the leader. He knows needs birdies, and that's not going to help. But still plenty of time.
Andrew Bonham's found the green at the par 5 11th. Hole playing maybe near right to left breeze today, just shaving the hole. That must have looked so good, a foot or so out from the hole. He will move to 4 under.
We're going back to the 10th. That's a great view of what we were talking about.
Just gives you a good indication of the elevation there. Probably about a 10% drop from the tee in gradient from the tee down to the green. Damien Chatterley here. I imagine only a gap wedge for Damien. Leaving it just under the hole. He's going to give himself a good chance at a birdie.
He needs a 2 stuttering start with a couple of bogeys through the front 9. Now Andrew Bonham just to clean up his birdie and move to 4 under. 4 shots from the lead.
Andre Stelz, we saw his third from some way out. Unfortunately, unable to convert that birdie chance that he created for himself.
So often the final day is about getting the putts right. And once again, it's shaping that way here.
Scotty Laycock for birdie at the 10th. Quite a bit uphill this putt. Perhaps more so than Scott thought. He's left it 4 or 5 feet short or so. You can see him just gesturing there with his hand. He can sort of sensing it's now a little bit more uphill than he initially thought. Hamish Robertson also coming from the front of the green. Different angle from Scott's putt, but he may well have learned from that.
Wouldn't Hamish Robertson love to jag this putt and extend his lead? It looks like he's read it pretty well. Oh. Just misses out. But good signs for him there, Bruce.
It's going to be really interesting to see how he handles these closing stages of this tournament. With a two-shot lead at the moment, he hasn't been in this situation before. He was an amateur good enough to finish runner-up at the New Zealand Amateur to none other than James Nitties, and we know what a good player James Nitties has become. Hasn't really blossomed in his professional career to date, but a good chance for him today to stamp his mark in the game.
Chatterley, who was the overnight leader also in the final group, he'll be disappointed to come up short from such a distance. He had the best opportunity of them all for birdie, but he remains at 6 under and hasn't quite got things going today.
Been a prolific winner of Pro-Ams on this side of the country over the last few years.
Scotty Laycock again, and he is able to put that in and remains at 6 under.
Jason Norris creeping along, 5 under, within 3 of the lead. This for either will get him within 1. And
that's a wasted opportunity for Jason Norris.
Really been plagued by injury over the last couple of years. One of them by an accident. He's had a wrist injury for much of this year. He's a very good, talented player, won a number of events around Australia.
And he's at 6 under now. Andre Stoltz is at 5 under. Trying to get out a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, pulled his tee shot at the par 4 12th. Quite a short par 4. He's just really had to run it out sideways. That'll still leave quite a distance for his third. This is at the par 5 11th. Hamish Robertson had driven his ball on the right side of the fairway. Tried to lay up with his second, but hit a very ropey sort of 3-iron into that bush that you can see just alongside of him. And as soon as he saw it, he realised that there was no option other than to take relief, and so he'll be playing his 4th shot from there.
We'll get back to him in a moment. Meantime, Andrew Bonham is at 4 under.
This at the 12th from 88 metres. Wow. A pretty disappointing result from that distance out. As we go back to Robertson from a rather sandy lie where he took the drop. Shot from 90 odd metres or so. Needs to catch it cleanly. Oh, just got over the bunker. He's now staring a bogey in the face, you would think.
Could have been worse though, couldn't it? Considering how close that was to falling back in the bunker.
Saw Andre chipping out sideways from the trees at the 12th. This is 3rd. Well, creating a chance of a par.
Back to Hamish Robertson and his battles to stave par. Not quite enough juice there for Robertson, so 1 shot dropped at least. And that really opens things up some more.
Yeah, standing on that tee, he would have been thinking about birdie. Now he's facing a bogey, and it'll be interesting to see how that changes things over the closing stages for Hamish Robertson.
He'll now be heading to the first of 4 par 4s, starting with the 12th, which is where we find Andrew Bonham. Fresh from a birdie at the 11th.
Runs at 4 or 5 feet by, and after a disappointing second, now he's got his work cut out to save par. Scott Laycock missed the green left with the second here at the par 5 11th. But he's made birdie after a perhaps an indifferent chip. But still, it's a birdie all the same. He moves to 7 under, and he now shares the lead.
Yes, that will make Robertson feel a little uncomfortable, that's for sure. What a turnaround now. Stoltz is at 5 under, and he drops a shot there. So again, it seems to be quite a lot about the putting at the moment. Laycock, the man with the hot putter for the moment, while others are dropping shots. Stoltz back to 4 under.
This to limit the damage here. This for bogey. He's at 7 under. He and Scott Laycock now share the lead.
Bonham to clean up his par. And the 37-year-old pops it in. Out today in 37. With just one bogey, so he's been pretty steady, but he's still 3 shots behind our leaders. Scott Laycock and Hamish Robertson have been joined by David Diaz, who's just birdied the 13th. It's a logjam on the leaderboard of the Lawrence Scrap Metals WA PGA. The Bunbury Golf Club is the venue for the final round of a thrilling WA PGA Championship, and I'm sure their president Gordon Marshall is delighted.
We are used to running the South West Open, and as I say, for 50 years. When we was approached to do this, it was just an opportunity we just couldn't miss. To get an opportunity like this in the country is just incredible. We bring up a good course for our members most weeks, or every week if we can. Really, from the financial point of view, we had to go out and talk to our local council and our South West Development Commission and the Harvey Shire, and we've got some good local sponsors we have here as well. So all those people we're very, very grateful for, because in 8 weeks, to raise that amount of money is just a great success for the club.
And he'll be thrilled with the finish coming up here, Bruce. Andrew Bonham, 3 shots from the lead.
Just 85 metres here. We saw a rather ordinary pitch from a similar distance at the last. Can he make an improvement? He certainly can.
So a birdie there would take him back into contention, but there's plenty he has to get ahead of. One of them is David Diaz.
One of the most difficult holes of the day. Straight back into the teeth of the breeze. Par 4, 14th. 155 metres coming from the left rough. The ball just above his feet. 5 iron in hand. Probably going to need to get all of this, given the amount of wind that is directly into him on this hole. And he's been caught out there. Catches the front trap.
So disappointment from Diaz, who is moving very well through the field. Regain the lead along with Laycock and Robertson. And now Hamish Robertson, who's coming off a bogey, so would love to get this close.
Yes, coming from 71 metres. He'll be disappointed in that. I'm sure he would have been looking for something closer from that distance.
Now Andre Stoltz needs to get something going here. Has he got the read? Well, he did allow for the borrow, but it's come back too far and maybe not quite enough on it, so he'll remain at 4 under.
Now we saw David Diaz, his second shot, find the front bunker at the 14th. An awkward stance there. Not a particularly good effort, and that will leave a putt of about 15 to 20 feet for par.
Back to Bonham now for birdie. Oh, missed opportunity there.
That wasn't a missed opportunity, Anthony. There are not going to be many more chances for him, you would think, over the closing stages. And if he had any chance of winning, he probably needed that putt.
Well, he's not the only one struggling with making putts at the moment, so I guess you never know what might happen. Hamish Robertson is next to go at the 12th.
Well, it wasn't a particularly good second, but he's still got an outside chance of a birdie. But it's not to be. In fact, a B nearly helped it in there, Anthony. You see that B?
Yeah, well, nearly was to be, wasn't it?
So that will be a par for Robertson, and he will retain a share of the lead with Scott Laycock and David Diaz. Of course, David Diaz in a bit of strife at the par 4 14th as we go forward to see him attempt this putt for par.
Oh, that is heartbreaking for Diaz. He read the putt beautifully, but just not enough on it. So he is forced to cop his medicine and drop a shot. He's back to 6 under, so that leaves 2 players now, Laycock and Robertson, in the lead. And here's Robertson at the 13th, par 4.
A hole that dog legs left to right. Breeze coming from the right and helping, but he has found the trees.
Oh, the tension of the final day. You can see it in his face. Jason Norris going quietly along, but he too is unhappy with the short stick. Drops a shot and goes back to 5 under. Gee, they're all going to count at the moment, aren't they?
Hamish Robertson, we saw his tee shot finding the trees at the par 4 13th. Judging by the club he has in his hand, a little low runner under the trees, you would think. Trying to run it up onto the green somewhere. Well, he's been able to run it on the green, and he's run it through the green and right under our cameraman's foot.
Testing the dexterity there of our cameraman. Now a test for the putting skills of David Diaz. We saw him drop a shot a moment ago. Can he get it back downhill with this testing birdie putt?
A lot of left to right in this putt. Well, he read it pretty well, but in the end it is a par. He will stay at 6 under.
Well, it's a bit of a case of who wants to stand up at the moment. On a beautiful but breezy final day here at Bunbury. David Diaz, 1 shot from the lead, held at the moment by Laycock, and this man Hamish Robertson, who, as we've seen, has his share of difficulties.
He's pitched from behind the green at the 13th, quite quick down the green, but he's played it nicely. Still leaving a little bit of a tester for par, but after finding the trees, he's got a good chance to save that par.
Now, other leader Scott Laycock, also with a little bit of work to do here.
Running it through the fringe grass with the hybrid, and just overdoing it a bit, in fact a lot. That is really going to leave a tester for par for Scotty Laycock.
Interesting choice of club there.
Yes, just bumbling it through the couch grass, the wintergreen grass. It's very much part of the Bunbury Golf Club as we look at Andrew Bonham. This putt for bogey at the 14th, and that'll slip him back to 3 under.
Well, now you'd say he really is just about out of the mix. 4 behind Scott Laycock. Mind you, no one seems to be able to make a putt at the moment. Tentative effort, wasn't it, from Laycock? And you could see the result. So the confidence is drained out of most of the players, it seems, on the putting greens at the moment.
I think, Anthony, one of the more interesting things over the closing stages of this tournament will be to see how these guys handle it. Some have won before, but not for quite a while. And in the case of Hamish Robertson, he's never been in this situation before.
Here he is at -7 to hold par. And the outright lead, and that's exactly what he's done. So well done to Hamish Robertson. It's a tough old afternoon. Robertson leads by 1 shot, but David Diaz, Scott Laycock and Damien Chatterley not too far away. It's an exciting final round of the Western Australian PGA Championship. Closing stages of the 2009 Lawrence Scrap Metals WA PGA Championship. This is no laughing matter, Bruce.
It certainly isn't, especially for Hamish Robertson. He found some trouble with his second at the par 4 14th. Had to chip out sideways. This is 4th, so he's trying to find out a way to save bogey, and he's going to have his work cut out if he wants to do that.
Up ahead to the 16th, and David Diaz. He's at 6 under. It's the par 3.
Playing downwind today. This is 7 iron for Diaz.
A longish par 3.
Well, must have looked very good in the air for him.
Now over to Scott Laycock, who's battling to save par here at 14.
He too finding the trees with his second. Probably his worst shot of the day, I would think, is second to the 14th, and it's cost him now because that will be a bogey. But his playing partner Hamish Robertson also with his troubles. He has a 10-foot putt or so for bogey himself.
There's a lot of head shaking going on the greens at the moment. Oh, hangs on. It was a very gentle putt down the hill, but even though he drops a shot, at least he didn't drop 2, I guess you could say. -6 for Hamish Robertson. And -5 for Scott Laycock. It's a real test of temperament at the moment. David Diaz has a birdie chance at 16.
Just got caught out a little by the uphill there.
So Diaz falling short, misses his chance. Another birdie opportunity here though, and Andrew Bonham is able to make it. So after dropping a shot at 14, he's picked it straight back up at 15. Now Diaz to make his par. So plenty happening out there at the moment, Bruce. Players tightening up.
And this putt for Diaz for par. Very important. This will keep him with a share of the lead at 6 under.
Yes, all of a sudden those players on -3, -4, -5 very much in contention. And there's plenty at the moment, putting the pressure on Hamish Robertson. He looked a bit downcast there as he tees off. And only in the light rough.
It's not too bad, but there is the flag is cut on the front right of the green today. That'll be his biggest hurdle to overcome with his second. Scotty Laycock with a 3-wood here. Probably just trying to find an angle to this front right flag position. Just maybe start it down the left.
This is usually one of the toughest holes on the course.
We're playing downwind today, Anthony, and from the left and helping a little. Certainly a lot easier than it normally is, and really only going to leave a very short iron for most of the players in the field, even from a 3-wood, as Scotty's just hit there.
Now Jason Norris.
We saw a very similar putt from David Diaz just a few moments ago. Just how much turn there is in that putt. It'll be interesting to see if our leaders or those in our last group get the chance to have that same putt, whether they're able to read it properly. It's a par for Jason Norris.
So he's at 4 under. Now Laycock at 5 under.
You can see there the angle we talked about. He still has to bring it in over the front right bunker, but this is a 9-iron for him. A little bit left of the flag, but still gives him a chance at a birdie.
Approach from Hamish Robertson will be a little more tricky.
That's a very good shot. Very smart shot, keeping it just left of the flag from a sandy lie, and I think that was really a good quality shot.
Good signs for Robertson.
We go up ahead to the par 5 17th. This is 3-iron for Diaz, his second. And Anthony, with such a congested leaderboard, I get the feeling this is going to be a key hole over the closing stages. An opportunity for a birdie and maybe even an eagle to break clear. A good shot there by David Diaz. 25 or 30 feet past, but an outside chance of an eagle.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Back on the 15th though, Hamish Robertson does have a birdie opportunity after that smart approach. The uphill putt, well, it went past the hole, so at least he didn't die wondering. Still the subtle shake of the head there. Things not quite happening for the leaders at the moment. Diaz though can change all of that. Down the hill for eagle, and just a little strong.
Always difficult to get the pace right on a lengthy putt with so many shadows around the hole and throughout the course of the putt. We've seen this putt before. We've talked about it before. A lot of left to right movement in it. Can Scott Laycock negotiate the amount of swing in it? Yes, he has. We didn't get a chance to see the ball dropping in the hole, but we know he has. So Scott Laycock moves back to 6 under. Now, David Diaz. Can he move to 7 under?
I was going to say Laycock's time at the front mightn't last too long, but he remains our leader because Diaz misses an opportunity. That's a big opportunity gone for David Diaz. We talked about how important the 17th could be, being the par 5. He's got one hole to post to score. More time for Hamish Robertson, who makes his par there at 15 and remains at 6 under. Now Andrew Bonham has picked up a birdie at 16, Bruce, and here he is at 17.
Yes, and as we mentioned earlier, this is a key hole. If he can pick up another birdie here, he gets really very much into the mix all of a sudden.
Yes, well, he was going along quietly, then he dropped the shot. We thought he was out of contention, but he's very much in the mix, as is Scott Laycock.
185 metres, but very much down breeze. A 7-iron here for Scott. Well, he had it right on line, and he'll face a very similar putt to that which we saw David Diaz attempt just a few moments ago.
Now Hamish Robertson takes his turn at this par 3 16th.
There's also a 7-iron. Watching it intently. Well, just releasing through to the back edge of the green, just off the edge of the green in the fringe, but a very good shot. He's handled himself very well, Anthony, I think, for a guy that really hasn't been in this situation before.
Well, that's how you get out of a bunker, Bruce. It's pretty easy.
Golf course superintendent's curse.
Now Bonham for that birdie, and it gets there. Had a bit of a look on the way, but Andrew Bonham joins the leaders at -6, and suddenly a big smile on his face. That's 3 birdies in a row. What a finish we've got here in Bunbury. Michael Curtin, who was the winner last week, he can also get to 6 under.
He's really bounced back well after that third round of 79. Dropped a lot of shots early in his round yesterday. Actually suffered a little bit of an injury earlier this week. Damaged his hand. But after that very ordinary performance yesterday on Saturday, he's bounced back well, and he's going to finish within the top 5 or 6, you would think. Now Hamish Robertson, just off the back edge of the par 3 16th. He'll be putting through the fringe grass and a few shadows around. A little bit of left to right as it runs down towards the hole. That should see his par.
Norris for eagle. He could land this in, it really would be coming from the shadows from a long way back, but he just can't, so that leaves him a little too short. He'll be -4. This is Laycock though for birdie, and to take the outright lead. Is anyone going to drop a putt other than Andrew Bonham, who's the only man who's hot at the moment with the putter? The others really missing opportunities. Frustration for Scott Laycock.
Now David Diaz at 6 under par. He knows 2 of the leaders behind have the par 5 17th to play. It's important for him to make birdie here, you would think, if he's to have a chance of being in the mix at the finish.
But alas, he'll have to settle for par, as Robertson also makes par at 16, and he's at 6 under. Here's Diaz to finish off his round, which started so promisingly and has ended with a share of the lead. But as you said, there's others to come. A 69 for David Diaz, and he's in the clubhouse at -6. Back to Andrew Bonham. Crucial second shot here at 18.
Not the best of angles. Flag cut in the front right of the green. But he's hit a good, safe commercial shot past the flag. Gives himself an outside chance of a birdie.
And he's one of 4 players tied at 6 under par. It's a grandstand finish in the Lawrence Scrap Metals WA PGA Championship. It's been a great week in the city of Bunbury, some 2 hours south of Perth. Home to around 60,000 people. They've been delightful hosts to this year's WA PGA.
We've had a terrific amount of golf. We've got terrific feedback about the standard of our course. The people coming into the city have been also very appreciative. No, we're very pleased with the whole event. You just get these opportunities every now and again. We're very pleased that we took that opportunity to have an event of this standing in Bunbury for our region. Is just been great, and we're hoping that it will continue and we'll have it back here in future years. There's a lot of great places to come to in this area, and Bunbury's very pleased to be part of it.
Right now the focus, though, is on a thrilling finish on the final day. Andrew Bonham, one of 4 players, tied at 6 under in the lead.
That's a crucial putt, just a little bit of left to right. This will break him clear of the pack at 6 under.
Oh, he's got it. 4 birdies in a row for Andrew Bonham. What a stunning finish. And that could be enough to make him the champion. The others will have to chase. They'll need to produce at least 1 birdie.
Hamish Robertson found the greenside bunker with a second at the par 5 17th. Well, we've seen a number of quality bunker shots from the New Zealander this week. That's another great example of it.
What a timely one too. Now you'd think he'd be able to put that in for birdie and get a share of the lead.
Scott Laycock found the front trap with his second. This to move to 7 under. And he knows, with the shake of the head, just how disappointing that is, not taking advantage of the reachable par 5 17th. He will walk to the last, needing a birdie to catch Andrew Bonham, and more than likely Hamish Robertson, who has this putt for birdie to move to 7 under and take a share of the lead with Bonham, who's already in the clubhouse.
And well done by the young man. So shows a bit of steel there, Hamish Robertson. Was the equal overnight leader coming into this final round, had his worries through the front 9, but right now with 1 hole to play, he has a share of the lead. And we look at Jason Norris finishing off here. That was for par, so he hasn't finished the day too well. He'll have to settle for -3 and a final round of 74. Still stunned by Andrew Bonham's amazing finish. Now Hamish Robertson at the 18th.
Anthony, this likely the most important tee shot in the career to date of Hamish Robertson. But he's pulled it left, found the trees. Can't quite see at this stage where it's finished.
What would be going through his mind, do you think, when he was on that tee?
Just trying to find the fairway, I'd imagine. Ideal position would have been the left side of the fairway as Scott Laycock. He needs a birdie if he's to catch the leaders. That's down the right side by the look of it, and that leaves a pretty ordinary angle to that front right flag.
So our final group are away on the 18th. That's what awaits them. Some nervous fans. It's a great finish. Andrew Bonham already in the clubhouse at -7. Hamish Robertson in trouble. He's at -7, but here he is. It's not a bad result for him, Bruce.
Well, he's gotten a very lucky break with the tee shot. It's bounced back towards the fairway, and in actual fact, it's created a very good angle. But unfortunately, he's been unable to take advantage of it. That's found the front bunker. We saw a great bunker shot from him at the 17th. Can he produce another one?
Second for Scott Laycock. All or nothing. Needs a birdie. Oh, now he needs a miracle.
Fuming about that from just 80 metres or so, 90 metres.
There's something a few club golfers could relate to, I reckon.
Walking up the 18th here, a big moment for Hamish Robertson. Has his friend Josh Carmichael, an Aucklander, a professional golfer, on the bag this week or over the weekend. Josh played the tournament, didn't make the cut, but here he is caddying for his good mate.
Oh, look at what Scott Laycock has to contend with here. I said it was a miracle. Might be even more than that if he's to get birdie here, and it's certainly not to be.
So much grass around the ball there. He really didn't know quite how that was going to come out. And that is just so disappointing for him.
Now, the tournament on the line here for Hamish Robertson. He needs to get this close to force the playoff.
Very deep bunker, downhill from the edge of the bunker, down to the flag. He's played it beautifully.
Oh, what a shot. Under pressure, Bruce.
Well, he's been under pressure all day and he's handled the heat of the battle very, very well. And that great bunker shot should now force the playoff, you would think.
Yeah, still needs to make a putt of 3 feet, which will be a little nervous. Scott Laycock to go next.
And it might well be that Hamish Robertson is an interested observer here, because despite the fact that the putt is obviously a lot shorter than Scott Laycock's, it'll be on a similar line, so he may watch what it does over the closing stages.
So Laycock's had quite an adventure on this 18th. He's talking to the ball. It's not obeying. So a frustrating end for Scott Laycock, but playing it up to the crowd. And he's going to have to settle, you would think, for a bogey. And a final round at 73.
Well, obviously Scott Laycock's putt went the other way than what he thought. So whether that will influence Robertson in a few moments remains to be seen. As we look at Damien Chatterley, his putt for par. A disappointing day for Damien, the club pro at the Seaview Golf Club in Cottesloe. He'll be back opening the club pro shop probably tomorrow morning. A disappointing final day, but a very good tournament, a very good week. He led after 54 holes, shared the lead after 54 holes.
Finishes with a 77 after a pair of 68s through the second and third round. So, as you mentioned, he'll be a little disappointed. Scott Laycock to finish off then for his bogey, which he duly does. As I mentioned, a round of 73, but a frustrating finish for Scott Laycock, and gives the ball the boot. Now, Andrew Bonham watching on. Will he be taking part in a playoff in a moment? He's at 7 under. Hamish Robertson at 7 under. Looking for a par to force the playoff. And he's missed. He's missed the young man from New Zealand. And so our champion is Andrew Bonham. He's finished the day with 4 birdies. Spectacular finish. And then he's watched on as this young man, unfortunately, hasn't been able to put the 3-foot putt down the hill.
That is the bogey for Hamish Robertson. He'll finish in a share of second. He'll be disappointed, but he would have learnt a lot today. And next time he's in that situation, he will find himself just that much better for what's happened today.
He's had to settle for equal second with David Diaz at -6, but all the credit to Andrew Bonham, finishing in spectacular style, 4 birdies and a final total of -7. All these players thinking about what might have been. It's Bonham the champ.
It's been an amazing year for me. It's been so ordinary until just recently, and to win out here on tour is fantastic, and I'm very humbled and very happy to have had a win.
Terrific victory, Bruce.
No doubt about that, Anthony. It's been a great bounce back from what has been a difficult year for him.
Thanks for being with us, Bruce, and thank you for joining us at what has been a terrific 2009 Lawrence Scrap Metals Western Australian PGA Championship.